Can I take you back to when the global financial crisis was unfolding, and you, of course, were in an extraordinary position. You were head of Treasury, you also sit on the Reserve Bank Board. Can you tell us what your worst fears were as that started to unfold?
Two. Firstly, that it did look like we were not going to be able to avoid recession. It did look that way. The point about avoiding recession is not avoiding recession for its own sake. The point about it is what it does to people's lives. And I had lived through and seen close hand the recession of the early 1990s and the way in which that was handled in policy terms, particularly in fiscal policy terms. And that experience was seared on my brain, I think I'd say. And I was very keen that we not have a repeat performance of that. In fact, my recollection of that period of the early 1990s recession is that Treasury stood on the sidelines. And as Secretary to the Treasury, I was not going to stand on the sidelines.
And you had a famous saying, didn't you? At least that's what we heard, that you told ministers in the way that they should respond.
Well, because we had a discussion about the form of a fiscal response, and I did say to ministers, I said to Prime Minister Rudd and other senior ministers that there was no point going in soft. If you were going to use fiscal policy to try to avoid a recession, you should throw a lot at it. Secondly, that although there is a temptation to think that it would be highly desirable to have something concrete, maybe even literally concrete, to show for your fiscal stimulus long after the period of crisis has passed, an infrastructure project, for example, that is almost impossible to roll out in a timely fashion, to roll out sufficiently quickly to avoid a recession. So the advice was the best thing you can do in the time available is to provide cash to households. And then the third bit of the advice was, if you think you need to do it, the quicker you do it, the better. Don't wait. Don't wait until you see the whites of the eyes. Do it early.
So can you tell us exactly what you said in that little phrase?
Well, I did say go hard, go early, and go to households. I did say that.
And do you feel vindicated, really, particularly after that first stimulus package, because you did see an effect on the economy which came very quickly?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I do. But it's not a personal thing. I must say that in the Treasury we had discussed this possibility years earlier. We'd asked ourselves a question, a senior group of people in the Treasury, just what would we do if we were to be hit with another big negative shock, and how would we respond? What would our advice to the government be? And everybody in the senior levels in the department was of one mind on how the department should provide advice to the government.